oh, well, it wasn't 2 trillion, so who cares? Well, culture of blatant thievery has made an indelible impact.
This isn't transgender rats on treadmills. This is Caesar's Palace.
Let's hop into a wild Fox News panel that's trying to bolster up this disastrous DOGE failure as some sort of a success. So be sure to strap in as we debunk the misinformation. But first, if you can, leave us a like. It helps us out a bunch and we really appreciate it. And we'll be back with the much needed context.
This blows my mind. This isn't transgender rats on treadmills. This is Caesar's Palace.
What I love is that now that there's a little tiny bit of accountability, all of a sudden nobody wants to upload any receipt. So the Democrat narrative on this, again, has been wrong. But it's been, oh, well, it wasn't 2 trillion, so who cares? Well, when you look at the egregious spending, if we're able to cut out the egregious stuff and it adds up to whatever it ended up being, 150 million, billion, that's a great savings. And most people are happy to see it, right? So the fact that Democrats poo-poo this, it reminds me of Nancy Pelosi talking about the tax cuts as just crumbs. It means something to the American people that we're not renting out stadiums for certain government employees to have a fun time.
Except there's two main problems here. And as we run through this, I want you to think if they would be this charitable had it been a Democrat running this. They promised $2 trillion to be cut. So it's a massive failure of 97% by their own projections. And more importantly, none of what they're saying ever even bears out to be true. And what they have cut definitely isn't waste, fraud, and abuse. Again, things like medical research, food for starving children abroad are included in that. And again, it's usually things that it doesn't even pass the basic sniff test in what they're claiming. Does anyone with common sense really think we spent $50 million on condoms to Gaza, to Hamas, or that we had transgender mice? Like, these clowns aren't even smart enough to know what transgenic means, but we're supposed to trust them with our sensitive information. Or that dead people are receiving Social Security only to find out that 1% of the payments are fraudulent. I mean, this is, at this point, Musk has shown either so much blatant ignorance or a willingness to lie in this position that anyone trusting him, it's just an ultimate self-report and the cult mentality that will never be able to admit anything that failed or is wrong.
$130,000 contract with a former member of the Taliban they dug up. That's all been recommended to the Justice Department. So Elon Musk talked about on his sort of long goodbye here that this is a long-term enterprise, and they've got to stay at this because things can easily fall back into old ways. But, you know, we've talked a lot about the resistance to this. A lot of these agencies are so happy with the change. I mean, it was archaic. I think Elon Musk said it's prehistoric, like dinosaurs would think this is kind of old, talking about the archaic filing systems at the federal employees retirement system. So there is a lot of welcome change that is happening as well.
I have to start by saying I hate this framing that MAGA has gotten away with of, oh, they're so transparent because Trump always has cameras on him, as if one, he's just not wanting the attention, and two, just to frame things the best way possible, which is why the likes of Fox News and Tim Pool get White House access, but AP doesn't. Meanwhile, Elon was threatening criminal charges for releasing DOGE employee names, but transparency, of course, guys. You know, they had Fox and Jesse Waters sit down with them in a scripted interview. Like, also, Fox News and MAGA gets to benefit from parroting DOGE's claims that don't have any evidence, don't apply any context or the nuance or substance, then often are revised down or later just pulled off the website completely. Like the former Taliban getting money or whatever that she pointed to here. It's actually a guy who worked on peace efforts in the region for decades and with a youth organization that was hoping to build peace and defend human rights. But terrorist or something. I mean, he's brown.
3/4 of Americans agree with the DOGE mission because who's for waste, fraud, and corruption? Oh, right, Democrats and some allies in the media. So again, this is an issue hammered home. When Elon's gone, the mission will continue.
Emily with the cleanup at bat.
Remember how the left painted these engineers as inexperienced children, inexperienced engineers, right? We saw there without notes as they articulated the phenomenal impact that they've had from memory, and also things like, you know, the person from the Institute of Peace that helped stop that 1 terabyte of flooding. I mean, the reality is that tiny changes and a stop to the culture of blatant thievery has made an indelible impact, but the work is not yet over.
That was a lot of words for that lady to not really say anything. DOGE has found no waste, no fraud, no abuse. They've fallen 97% short of their own projections for spending cuts, and they're now being bullied out of the government after just 100 days. Also, notice at the beginning the specific wording from that gentleman. They support the DOGE mission. You have to add mission in there because while a majority of Americans do support cutting wasteful spending, a majority of Americans actually do not support DOGE specifically, where let's again highlight that we have only ever had a balanced budget under a Democrat. We were only ever on pace to pay off our debt under a Democrat. Republicans historically are far worse on spending. Far worse on debt. They add much more to it, the deficit as well, and have caused 15 of the last 16 recession. Give Trump 6 months and it'll be 16 of the last 17 recessions. If we want to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, first, stop electing Republicans. But second, if we want to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, why did we elect the felon fraudster who signed more debt into law in one term than any president in history?